lifting. So many women that I know are like, I'm not going to lift. If you're not lifting because you think it's going to bulk you up and it's not good for you, let's have a real conversation here. But I think now that has shifted. I have seen now so many women becoming aware, not even from an aesthetic standpoint, but just the fact that we need bone strength. We need to be focusing on strength training and resistance training without doubt.
Women going through menopausal years, perimenopause, during that phase, I would encourage them all to prioritize the weight training and building and preserving as much muscle and bone density as they can.
100%.
And we are live. Andrea, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to chat with you. I actually just got back from a conference this past weekend in Tennessee, and it was a nutrition conference, but like so much of the audience, like 98% of the audience, was filled with people that are not really, they're doing the right things nutritionally, but they haven't figured out the movement pattern of things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's overwhelming for me to be talking to them as a bodybuilder. I try to break it down. I'm like, anything's better than nothing, do what you can, start with where you're at. But you've mastered the art of making just day-to-day habits and routines functional, easy, efficient, and sustainable. So I'm excited to dive into it with you.
I love hearing that. Yes. Spot on.
Yes, indeed. What got you into the space to begin with? Give me some backstory before we dive into the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, sure. Well, I was a dancer growing up. So I started dancing at the age of 3. Always loved to move. So my mom was like, you got to go and dance. And then I just fell in love with movement. So from a very young age, I just have not stopped moving since. So took my dance career, segued that into a Pilates career after I went to college, got my degree, and realized I couldn't sit behind a desk and like have a real adult job. I was like, I'm going to go into the Pilates world. And as a professional dancer, I had used Pilates as a tool to stay healthy, right? To keep my body injury free. And so I recognized that I would, have a kinship with this Pilates and the scientific approach to movement. And so I became a classical Pilates instructor, comprehensive, and absolutely fell in love with the technique, with the work itself. And then after a few years of teaching Pilates, I started to miss the freedom of choreography that I had as a dancer and choreographer, and started to implement some of the dance choreography into my private Pilates sessions. And my clients were really resonating. They were responding. They're like, do more of that dance thing you did, So I would use a ladder barrel, which is an apparatus in Pilates, and I would start to do some classic dance moves. And right at that time, bar workouts were starting to really become a thing in New York and LA, but not kind of worldwide. And so I started just kind of sprinkle in. I launched a class in South Florida. It took off. It turned into a certification program that I launched in South Florida. That turned into a licensing model. That turned into franchising. And then we went digital.
I love it. All right, we got to do some behind the curtain definition terminology here, because I'm a bodybuilder, not a dancer.
Yes.
What kind of dance were you starting out with when you first got into the sport of dancing?
Yes. Well, when I did everything when I was dancing. I did tap, jazz, ballet, lyrical, modern, like all of it, right? I did all of it. But when I'm thinking in terms of just the movement and the workouts segment itself and that component of dance, it is very more ballet based. So we're talking about pliés, and we're talking about releves, we're talking about batmas and leg kicks, and just a lot of isometric type of movements that are then flow into more large comprehensive movements.
Nice. I took ballroom dance in college for a semester, and I
love that. Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
I can't remember what all we did. We did some classical, I don't even remember what all we did.
Isn't that amazing though? Didn't it teach you to use your body in a different way? And the mind-body coordination. And
what's interesting, I'm actually super excited to talk about this because, as a bodybuilder, I do like choreographed routines. And, like last competitive season I hired a posing coach. And that was the first time I never just, wung it and did it myself. And, she's a professional dancer, and we worked tirelessly on getting my movement patterns down for the choreographed routine segment of the routine. And it like made all the difference in the world. Like, it was brutal. It was frustrating. It was very challenging, but it showed on stage for sure. So I feel like from a bodybuilder, bodybuilding is an art, and dance and movement is an art. And if you can pair the two together, like, it's just breathtaking.
Magic. It is. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. The two together. And I love, I attended my friend, Sean T has recently gone into the bodybuilding in the competitive world. And I attended one of his competitions. Now he has the dance background, but it's funny you mentioned that, because I remember watching on stage all of these performers, and they were just moving so seamlessly from one move to the next and focusing so deeply on that mind-body connection on how to activate those muscles, how to best show off their form and technique. And I was like, oh, there's dance in this. There is dance in this technique. Yeah, I appreciated it.
Yeah, I definitely want to come back to dance, but Pilates real quick. So define Pilates and what that is exactly. Is it like a standard?
Yeah, have you done a Pilates class before?
I have not.
Okay, you're going to love it. I am so big on men, especially men who are in the bodybuilding world or in the athletic world, to really get rid of all of the preconceived notions that you have that Pilates is for women. And
I don't have that.
Okay.
I respect it. I've done yoga, and that's been humbling for sure.
Pilates is incredibly humbling, and Pilates is all about the technique of contrology and controlled movement, and it's all about mind-body connection. So not really long in terms of reps. You're not going to do 12 to 14 reps. You're going to do 3 to 4 or maybe 8. But the focus is on really understanding how to activate muscles in order to create that movement, and how to utilize form and technique and breath to control the power of the movement. And so, if you were doing 1 rep and you're applying Pilates principles, it's like doing, 20 reps without it. You know what I mean? It really teaches you how to turn it on and how to get the most bang for your buck on every single movement. I really say that once you learn Pilates and you know it and you understand Pilates, everything you do after in terms of movement will be 10 times better. You will apply it to everything that you do in everyday life, but bodybuilders specifically you will see everything change. I used to train, professional athletes. I trained linebackers, and I've worked with the big dudes, and they're doing these moves. They're doing my bar moves, my Pilates moves, and they're doing it for a reason. And you're seeing it now come into more mainstream, because there's purpose behind it. And there's such power and force in the mobility component, the flexibility component, and the strength component as well. So it's a win-win for any discipline. So if you're someone that loves to bodybuild, if you're someone that loves to run, if you're someone that just loves to lift in general, Pilates is going to better every single output, and you're going to feel a big difference once you start doing Pilates.
I mean, I can totally respect that. I feel like so many people in the bodybuilding space, even if they're not bodybuilders, people just go to the gym and they lift weights with conventional movement patterns. There's just this massive lack of mind-muscle connection, and they just go through the motions, just simply performing the repetitions, but with no focus, no connection, no, full range of motion, no stimulus. So anything that you can do to make that front of mind, which I would assume Pilates would do to a T.
To a T.
It's over. So is Pilates the one where you're in this slanted contraption on pulleys and ropes? Is that what Pilates is?
I mean, there's multiple forms of Pilates. There's classic traditional mat Pilates, which is just performed with your body, you on a mat, right? On a yoga mat, Pilates mat. And that is probably the best place to start. That is the foundation. And then you take all of those movements and you apply it onto different apparatuses. There is a machine called a Cadillac, which is an elevated mat with, horizontal, vertical poles on each side, and then horizontal one on top. And there's a lot of springs and resistance used via spring resistance. And so that's one machine. There's a tower. There is a reformer, which you use spring resistance again.
Okay,
yeah. And, Pilates was developed originally for more of a therapeutic and rehab type of purpose. And then it segued into mainstream. And you'll see by using these springs, they are a beast. I mean, you're going to love it, Robert. I cannot wait for you to take a class. You're going to take a class next week, and you're going to message me and tell me what you think. Because and you're going to take 5. You're going to sign up for 5 because the first one's bewildering. You're going to be like, what the hell am I doing? This is not for me. And then the second and third might be that way. And by the 4th or 5th, you're going to be like, okay, I feel this. This is humbling, and I need this in my life. And you're going to see how much improvement you're going to gain from just that knowledge that you get in those few classes.
So when it comes to people, again, kind of like we said in the very beginning, people have to start with where they're at and progress from there.
Right.
When it comes to Pilates as the primary form of movement pattern and training, what would be the best cadence to get the most bang for your buck? And as you advance, is that something that you would do in tandem with a lifting routine, or is that something that could, in theory, replace all other forms of training?
Yes, great questions. So first of all, I always say start small. Obviously, that's the whole premise of my philosophy in life is small moves, big life. So when I decided to launch this book, I also filmed workouts to coordinate with the book. So if you buy the book, you send your receipt, you get free workouts with me. And they're 10 minutes each. And they're all Pilates and bar-based workouts. And I wanted to make them 10 minutes because, first of all, I pack a lot into those 10 minutes. And if you're someone who's listening and is like, what am I going to possibly get out of 10 minutes, Andrea? Do all of my workouts and then come back and we'll have a conversation, because I promise you, you'll do those 10 minutes and everything's going to be shaking and quivering. And because we get you into that point of mind body connection and really optimizing every rep. So start there. Then from there, I would say find what you enjoy doing in terms of workouts. And if it's going to be Pilates or Barre, that can be an online workout. I do a lot of 30-minute, I have 15-minute express workouts, or it could be going to a local studio to take a class and having a little bit more support and accountability there. But in terms of long-term play, for me, my biggest thing is you want to focus on strength and resistance all the way, right? Of course, you want your cardio, you want to get your, your heart health, and you want to make sure that you're focused on that as well. But I think now we are understanding the power specifically for women, to really understand how strength and resistance plays a role in our bodies, specifically as we age. And so I encourage everyone to do what they like and they enjoy in the strength and resistance category. If you love to lift. Try to add Pilates in a couple times a week to see how it can advance your practices. If you hate lifting and it is just not for you, you've tried it, you know you should do it, but it's not for you, Pilates alone can be an incredible tool. You just have to make sure that you're utilizing, you're going to the right studio, you're getting the right routine, and you're not just going to one of those studios where people are trained in the weekend and teaching you a bunch of crazy stuff on a reformer and you're going to get injured. So you just got to pick and make sure that you're doing the right routines and the right workouts, but you have to enjoy them. I mean, it's hard to show up, right? To work out every day. And if you hate what you're doing and your body hates it, then you're less likely to stay, sustainable. You're just less sustainable. So I always say you want to lean into those movements and those workouts that immediately go, yeah, I like that. Like that feels joyful for me. That's good. I feel great after I do that workout. I get a high from it, and that will help you to, combat that lack of motivation that you get when you are struggling to get to the gym or struggling to get to the studio.
Totally agree. You've mentioned bar workouts. Are you talking about like just an Olympic bar?
No. So I own a company called Extend Barre. That's really what my business is. And it's a combination of dance and Pilates. And it's a ballet bar. So you hold onto a ballet bar and you do a lot of very detailed, specific moves in weight bearing positions. And it will humble the hell out of you. Like it is
inverted rows and stuff like that.
No, like holding onto a bar and lowering your legs and lifting your legs, like bending your knees and extending your legs, doing big movements. It's all different type of weight bearing movements, specifically focused in more of the dance niche, but it's a little bit more of a low weight, high rep formula. And it is incredibly humbling. That's what I used to train with a lot of athletes that I worked with. And it's, if you watch, you'll go onto my Instagram, see some of my moves. You'll be like, I got that. And then I want you to do it. Just use your countertop at home and try it. It's incredible. It's incredible the difference that your body recognizes the difference. You're like, I'm strong. I can lift whatever you can lift, right? And then you go to do these little movements and lift your leg off the floor and hold it there using your abs as the primary initiator. And you're like, what have I never worked out in my life? It's just a different way of your muscles moving. And we all need that, right? In order to continue to evolve and improve in our exercise and movement and in life, we need to step outside the comfort zone and try something different.
And I feel like all this stuff is so applicable to people regardless. I mean, just for life, like not necessarily for a given sport, but like if you can control your muscles, understand muscular contractions properly. And I mean, you think of like people that are at risk of falling, like all this is help that holding on to something, pulling themselves up.
Very much so.
I mean, like in bodyweight stuff in general, like bodybuilders are very guilty of only going towards, heavy weights and not seeing what they can do, unassisted with just their body weight. Like I've always been terrible at pull-ups and I started committing to doing pull-ups and it was super humbling, but now I've gotten pretty good at pull-ups, but it's only because I started incorporating them. Probably the same is true with a bar work. I need to just go sign up for a ballet class sometime and just walk in.
You got to sign up for a bar workout. They're everywhere. Just Google bar workouts in your area. They're everywhere. And yeah, it will improve your lifting 1000%. Just like stretching, right? Like, just like the things that we avoid are often the things that we don't enjoy doing, but we know we need to do. So your recognition of saying, hey, pull-ups aren't my thing, but clearly that's where I'm lacking, right? And this is where I need to work on. And then knowing that you can overcome that. And now because you are attacking those in such a diligent way, you're going to see everything else kind of change a little bit too, right? Not only physically, but in your mindset and your ability to kind of overcome those challenges.
100%. Do you feel like the female demographic, I mean, there's certainly a lot more, research, scientific literature, and just people online talking about the importance of building muscle, preserving muscle, especially from a longevity standpoint as we age.
Mm.
But do you feel like the tides are starting to shift so that mainstream society is on board with that and seeking that out, or are they still kind of hesitant to adopt those?
I have seen a shift over the last couple of years, thankfully, of people getting, even with my workouts, people say, well, am I going to bulk up? Are my thighs going to get big? Am I going to, my arms going to get too big? Or they'll start my workout and they'll start to feel and see changes in their body. I'm like, just stick with it. Like your body's going to change and evolve as you gain muscle mass, right? As you grow in strength and you grow in knowledge and form, you're going to see your body change, and that's an okay thing. But don't freak out when you look down and your quads are feeling a little bit stronger. Like give it some time and see how your body eventually falls into place. And I've had to push women to get outside of that mentality of, I don't want to do this. That's going to bulk my body up. And of course that relates to weightlifting. So many women that I know are like, I'm not going to lift. I'm not going to lift. I'm like, listen, if you don't like it and you absolutely hate it, it feels terrible on your body, that is one thing. But if you're not lifting because you think it's going to bulk you up and it's not good for you, let's have a real conversation here, But I think now that has shifted. I have seen now so many women becoming aware, not even from an aesthetic standpoint, like what I'm going to look like, but just the fact that we need bone strength, right? And we know that in order to have that bone strength, we need to be lifting. We need to be focusing on strength training and resistance training without doubt. And I think now that education is out there, I think it is mainstream. I think women understand it and are more inclined to embrace it. We want to be strong as we get older, right? Yes, you want to look good, but we want to be able to feel good. We want to do good. We want to move good. And this messaging now is, I feel like, completely out there, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it that people are now finally starting to embrace it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's unfortunate that, magazine covers of the totally jacked female bodybuilders
right?
With such a stigma in the mainstream. Because
it's true.
I've been lifting for 15 years, and I would love to look like some of those female bodybuilders. Yeah. All roided out of their minds.
That's exactly it. And my friends that are lifters say the same thing. They're like, I have tried to look like that. Not everybody like that's not the norm. And I have so many friends that lift on a regular basis and they look insane, but they do not look like that. They're not jacked like that. They just look strong and healthy. Right. Mm-hmm. And also I think strength is an addiction. I will say that. Like when I'm at my strongest and I am the most consistent in my movement and my workouts, which like let's say I'm prepping for a shoot and I just want to get to that next level, right? That strength is an addiction. When you feel energized, your body feels strong, your mind feels like it's operating at a higher frequency, everything starts to fall in place. And I think that's the addiction, right? You're like, oh, wow, when I do these kind of workouts, yes, it's hard when I'm doing it. And yes, it can deplete me for a moment. But overall, when I zoom out, I feel really good. Like I'm strong. I have more energy. I don't, slump over my chair at 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm eating healthier, which is fueling my body and giving me more endorphins and all these other things, So I think it all comes into play. And so working out can become this beautiful, healthy addiction.
Well, it's a much healthier addiction than a lot of the alternative options out there. I feel like in order for women, but men, anybody, to optimize muscle building, they need to embrace the idea of not chronically be dieting down and putting themselves in a deficit, because obviously in order to optimize muscle growth, you need to be eating at somewhat of a healthy surplus. So as you've seen the mentality shift in your female demographic to appreciate and adopt this principle of building more muscle, have you also seen them more willing to eat more food and not constantly be searching for that scale weight to be dropping?
Not in my network, unfortunately, not yet. No, I think it is still this. I shouldn't say not at all. I have seen a definite shift, but it's not significant. I still think there is, the most of my questions in my DMs is, Andrea, I've been doing these workouts or these workouts and these workouts, and this is my diet of the moment, and I haven't been able to lose weight, or I still can't lose the last 10 pounds. And, they're always about, the workout. And I always reply the same thing. Listen, calorie deficit is how you're going to end up losing weight, but let's stop. Let's just stop the conversation because you've already done the majority of the weight loss that you want. Now you're on that last 5 or 10 pounds. What do you love to do? Like, what feels good for your body? What fuels you? What workouts do you enjoy? I'm like, you got to stop focusing on and hyper focusing on those last 5 to 10 pounds and start just focusing on moving because it feels good, and focus on the wins that you feel after you move. And then do the same thing with the food, right? Like, are you eating enough protein? Are you eating enough in terms of carbs? Are you having a balanced diet that not just sustains you, but fuels you and activates you, that turns you on to have a great, energetic day? And so I always lean into the feel. Like, how do you feel after you work out? Feel pretty proud, right? Feel pretty good. How do you feel after you eat a good, balanced, nutritious meal? Feel pretty good, right? And we got to get rid of that whole psychology of feeling guilty, right? I say it's conscience indulgence. Like, you're allowed to indulge occasionally. You're allowed to eat the foods that you're not supposed to eat, and do it without guilt. And for me, it's about a zoom out effect. You got to zoom out and look at what you're doing as a whole. And does it feel good? Are you doing the right things consistently as a whole? Then great. Allow yourself a little grace when you fall off the wagon, get back on, and let's focus on how to power up and fuel our bodies. But I still think there's room on that.
Totally. And I feel like it's totally dependent on phase of life that they're all in. I mean, I get inundated with questions. I mean, hormones are super popular right now.
Correct.
Women going through menopausal years, perimenopause. It's like during that phase, yes, your hormones are in a state of disarray. You may be more apt to put on 5 or 10 pounds.
Absolutely.
But like, realistically, during that chapter of your life, I would encourage them all to prioritize the weight training and building and preserving as much muscle and bone density as they can.
100%.
And like, don't even worry about those 5 or 10, or even 20 pounds. Like, just lift hard, lift heavy, fuel yourself accordingly.
Fuel yourself
don't worry
accordingly.
about dropping weight.
Preaching
because then when they get through that chapter, they'll be way better off for it. I mean, they'll be able to reach their desired composition goal so much more effectively if they fuel themselves properly during that phase.
Couldn't agree with you more. Spot on. I still think there's a lot of room for that discussion. And it is hard when you're going through that. And I have dear friends that are going through that, and you see your body all of a sudden change, right? Like, you're at a certain weight for your whole life, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, where did this come from? Where did this come from? It's defeating. It's not an easy thing to just say, well, just lift more, just do this. There's a lot of mental, there's a mental health component in that whole change that's happening in so many different ways outside of just the physical look of your body. The internal health of your body, everything's changing, emotions are changing, everything's shifting. And I think finally, again, as you're seeing online, I'm sure you're seeing this conversation is finally out there and people are having that conversation. But the more we can lean into the power of movement, right? And the power of fueling your body, as you just said, and the power of fueling your muscles specifically this time, I think that not only from a physical perspective, but from a mindset perspective, if you can find consistency and power in movement, you're going to feel better as you go through these significant changes in your life.
100%. So as it pertains to movement, I feel like our generation and younger, like, they're getting inundated with this information. So as they go through those chapters, as they age, like, they'll already be privy to it.
Yeah,
but like,
agreed.
when you look at people that are, our parents' generation, or the generation beyond that, it's like, they grew up in the low fat era. They're not really, they're low calorie, low fat, not healthy from a nutritional standpoint, and also deathly afraid of bulking up and looking like Arnold in their 80s, which is going to happen. But you've got that fear nonetheless. They're not familiar or comfortable in a gym setting. There's still so many things they can do just in the comfort of their own home. So like, when it comes to just low hanging fruit for people that are just trying to freaking activate their muscles, what are some simple tips, tricks, and habits and routines that you'd advocate for?
Yes, I love this topic. So it's something I call movement snacks. Okay. Bite-sized moments during the day that you can slip into a little movement session. So I do this all day, throughout the day. I've done it for years. For example, when I'm waiting for my matcha to cook in the morning, I have 2 minutes and 35 seconds on my microwave to cook my milk every single morning. And what do? I do not just stand there and like twiddle my thumbs. I move my body. In the morning, I specifically will do stretches. Like, at the countertop, I will stretch my body. I will do what feels good for my body in the morning, just to get my blood flowing, my body moving, wake up the fascia, like, get everything flowing. If I'm in midday and I'm, again, back at the kitchen, waiting for something to cook on the stove, or even at dinner time when I'm cooking dinner for the girls, I will not just sit there in periods of pause. If I'm brushing my teeth, I will not just sit there and brush my teeth. I will be doing plies. I am doing lunges. I am doing batmas with my leg lifts. It is 2 to 3 minutes, but when you do that for 5 times a day, it does make a difference. It adds up. And not only does it physically make a difference in terms of building muscle, small pocket movements, but majority of it is the positive effect that it has on your mindset, right? Number one, you get that little tiny moment of releasing endorphins, right? And get everything jazzed up from a mindset perspective. But then it also changes your attitude towards things during the day. I notice after I do a movement snack, I'm not going to jump in and grab a unhealthy snack, right? Like I just move my body for 2.5 minutes while I'm waiting for my matcha. I'm not going to then jump in and grab onto like something that's not good and nutritious for my body. It just sets the tone for your life. It sets the tone for your day. So if you're somebody who's like, I know I need to work out. I used to work out. I used to be great at it. I was consistent at it. Or I've never, ever been someone that could work out every day. I'll never be that kind of person. Stop that narrative in your head right now and start to just find little pocket moments of movement. As I said, I have 10-minute workouts. We all have 10 minutes during the day to move your body. No excuses, right? You don't have to drive anywhere. It's free. It's effective and anybody can do it. There are all different levels I give. 10 minutes. When you start to do that, and I just did a challenge, I just wrapped it up this last week. And there's about 1,000 people in my group right now for Small Moves Big Life Challenge. We did 10-minute workouts every day for 6 weeks straight. And I can't get over how many women were like, I have never consistently worked out like this. And it feels so good, right? And they're like, finally, I felt like all the excuses were null and void because I knew I had 10 minutes to move. And I knew because it was only 10 minutes that I would do it and I could do it. And it's just getting over that, like that barrier to entry that we put into our own brains of like, you can't do it. You don't have time. It's not, let's come up with an excuse. And so for me, start small, just start small and be consistent.
And that adds up. Like when you look at neat activity, the total expenditure attributed to that over the course of a day, compounded over weeks and months and years, it's pretty freaking powerful.
It's pretty freaking powerful. Right?
When you look at your, baseline metabolic rate and what you're spending throughout the day just to maintain weight, like a massive portion of that is just in your day-to-day movements. Like when I'm dieting down,
everyday
my
movement.
energy is dropping, my NEAT starts dropping as a result as well.
Correct.
But if people are habitually doing intentional NEAT, then they could hedge against so much of that.
And that's exactly what it is. It's that intention, right? It's that intention to take those 2 or 3 minutes that you're not doing anything. Instead of scrolling on your phone and, looking at garbage that is going to be anything but motivating, right? Just commit to saying, okay, every time I brush my teeth, instead of just standing there, I'm going to do this move. Or every time I'm at the microwave and I'm waiting for something to cook, I'm going to do this move. And like I do with my girls, when the commercial comes on, it's hard to find commercials now. It's now when you're just watching the show lately that has commercials again on it. And I'm like, all right, we're doing roll-ups, which is a Pilates move. It's essentially like a full sit-up, right? All the way to touch your toes, rolling back down. We're going to do that every single commercial period. It adds up.
How old are your girls?
They're 12 and 14. And we do 25 roll-ups now every single night. And we go into a room, we play with our dog. We first start with the roll-ups. That's it. I'm asking for them to do one move. But what always happens after we do the 25 roll-ups, they start to practice their cheer jumps. They start to stretch. And all of a sudden we're in this little room and we are 20 minutes in and we're just moving our bodies and having fun and hanging out every single night. And it starts with like our 25 roll-ups. That's it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I've got a 3-year-old and a 9-week-old and I've been.
Oh my God, you have a 9-week-old?
Yeah. He's
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. I'm teaching my 3-year-old how to do push-ups and he's getting the hang of it. Like his push-ups are looking pretty legit. So
they are so strong. They are so strong and they're so capable. And if you can start from a young age, the power of that strength. Oh, I can imagine what your kids are going to be like. That's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. And it's a powerful tool because it builds confidence, right? Like no matter what they're going through in life, they have to, there's so many teaching moments, right? Like at the end when my daughter Lane was struggling with her reps on the last few, like just to get up, right? Those are the teaching moments where it's like, that's hard, isn't it, Lane? Yep. But we can do it, can't we? Yes, we can. Like you got to get through that little bit of pain to get to the end. And then now what I've noticed now she does 25 and she's like, I'm going to do an extra few. I'm going to do an extra 5. And she, the first time she did, she was like, I can't do 25. There's no way. And now she's adding on her extra reps on her own without me telling her to. She's built confidence in a matter of like, a month, just starting to do this recently. So those are the pockets. Those are the moments. And that's the thing that's why I keep preaching small moves add up. It really does. Over time, it adds up.
Yeah. My superpower as a human, and I would want this for everybody, is to just like figure out what you can do every single day without fail, no matter what, come hell or high water, whether you're traveling, whether you're at a festival, whether you're at a vacation, like find something that you can do every single day and commit to never deviating from it. Like it's really that simple. And if you do that, then it's just non-negotiable. Like when you have non-negotiables in your life, you stay much more so on the straight and narrow and you get to where you want to go.
Boom. Period. Yes, that is what my whole book is about. And that's exactly right. It is finding those non-negotiables, making sure that they are accessible and sustainable, right? Because if your non-negotiable is not accessible, like you said, no matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, if it's not accessible, you're not going to sustain it. And it has to be sustainable in order for it to make a difference. There has to be that consistency factor. So when I'm talking about these things, I'm like, do you brush your teeth every day? Yes. Is that negotiable? Well, God, no. I'm not going to go out in the world and not have my teeth brushed. Well, I'm not going to go out in the world and present myself without getting my workout in for that day or my movement in for that day, right? Or my breath work in for that day or my stretching in for that day or whatever it is that is my non-negotiable. You have to figure out what gives you fuel, like what makes you tick, what makes you feel good as a human, what energizes you, what makes you feel purposeful. That is non-negotiable. Do it every single day and your life changes.
It's funny you say the toothbrushing example because I use that in a lot of my presentations. It's like my 3-year-old hates brushing his teeth. It's been a grind.
Yes.
Yes. We still do it.
Yep.
But like he's 3, you know,
yep.
You and I, we don't think twice about it. We brush our teeth. It's part of the day. It's not even, it doesn't take any bandwidth at all. Like it just happens. And I feel like people, when they first start a workout routine, whatever it may be, no matter if it's like intense or like bare bones basic, like they dread it, kind of like that 3-year-old dreads brushing his teeth. But like after you get past that hump, then you enjoy it. But you got to get past the hump in order to see the progress. So once you become visible of the progress or aware of the progress, then it's addictive. But like you have to get past that initial hump. It's not supposed to be easy on day one.
I love that analogy. Imagine, so you're in the process right now of teaching your son that this is non-negotiable. This is something you do every single day. You have to brush your teeth, son. Imagine if we did that with workouts from a young age. Imagine if we taught them every morning, this is the workout routine that we're going to do. It's non-negotiable. It's healthy for your body. It's going to fuel you. And then we're going to eat a healthy, nutritious meal. Non-negotiable. Imagine if we did that for our youth. Like imagine what would change in our world if everybody was taught that. Just like we now know we have to brush our teeth every day. Why? We were taught that from the time we were, had teeth. We had to move them. Yet when the time we can move our bodies, we aren't teaching our children that they should be moving their bodies, right? It's not an education. It's just like go out and play, which is great. But like, let's start to educate our kids on the power of it so that they can become adults, that it's just ingrained in them. They don't have to think about it. It's a non-negotiable.
Default. Yeah.
It's a default. That's the word. Default.
Yeah. And I think it's a disservice to people for them to think that there is such thing as maintenance. Like I've always said, maintenance is a myth. And people will find themselves doing things that they assume is neutral.
Okay.
There's no neutral. I mean, like when we talk about eating the right food or training or moving our bodies, like that's obviously contributing to our betterment. But like if you look at those that are just morbidly obese, playing video games all day, eating fast food or getting, Uber Eats, like that's not a neutral. Like they are on the decline because of that. And for whatever reason, society has accepted that as more the default than moving your body and eating real food. So we just have to like change the society's standard of what acceptable is, I guess, having higher standards by default.
Absolutely. And it's hard to do it when you weren't taught that from a young age. It's hard to adopt that. Everything's harder when you're later in life, right? Learning a language is harder than when you learn it when you're younger. You're just more pliable, adaptable, adoptable with habits when you're younger, but that doesn't make it an excuse for you not to start now. So if you're someone who is listening to this and you go, yeah, well, that's easy for you too. You guys have been doing this for years and I'm at home and this is not my life. It can be your life. You can be someone who moves your body every single day. And it doesn't take much. And you just need to start. You need to stop with the excuses and you just need to start moving. And you don't need to go to the gym and spend 2 hours at the gym. Just start small. Go for a walk. Go for a walk every single day. Do a little 5 to 10 minute workout. Do a little movement snack throughout the day. And then I want you to stop and see how you feel. How do you feel after a week? Right?
100%. And I feel like the perspective one has as they do these things is key. Like the other day I was going for a run and I just felt worn down. I didn't get much sleep. Yeah. And, I was tired. I've been pushing myself pretty hard. But then as I was running, I'm like, man, it is a beautiful morning. The birds are chirping. I'm on a nice trail around a
Mm,
lake. It's like I have the opportunity to run. Like I know people that don't have legs, and I feel like having a physical body and being able to actually stand and use it is a massive blessing. And if you adopt this attitude of gratitude towards it, you don't want to take it for granted or let it, become, you don't want it to decay. And if you're, not moving it, it's going to.
yeah, I love that. I think that's a perspective in life in general and certainly applicable to movement itself. You just gotta lean into I get to, not I have to. You hear
100%.
people say that all the time. And I think it's, all these things you hear all the time. We're inundated on social media of all these, like, everyone's a life coach. Everybody's got advice. Everybody's coming at you with, I did this and now look at my beautiful life. And honestly, what you have to just look at is like, what makes you feel good? Like, what do you need to do more of that you're not doing right now? And then how can you shift your mentality and mindset and perspective towards it? How can you get to that point where you're like, okay, yeah, I get to do this and I want to do this.
Totally.
I had this one client, Sarah, who I speak about in the book, and she lost over the last, I think it's been a year and a half now with me, over 100 pounds. And, she had every excuse not to move her body. She had a very, very serious health condition. She had an eye surgery that required her to lay prone on her stomach for the majority of the day. Like, she was able to get up for 4 or 5 minute periods to use the restroom the whole day for months. Can you imagine? Like, it was just mentally the most awful and draining thing. And she had every excuse just to give up and not move. And she just decided one day, like, I'm going to press play on this workout, and she joined one of my challenge groups. She felt support. She felt accountability. That she had an accountability partner. And it wasn't like she was like, I'm going to lose 110 pounds. That wasn't her goal. Her goal was just that day to show up, to make it non-negotiable. And then when she did that first day, she was like, okay, that was hard. It was kind of awful, but I can do this again. Right. And then she did it the next day and then the next day. And she just kept saying, like, there's no reason not to keep doing this. And then she lost 5 pounds. And after she lost 5 pounds, she was like, wait a minute, what if I could lose 10? And then it was these small little goals that she set along the way. And now she was just with me in Portugal on my women's retreat that I just hosted in Madeira. And I look over, we have 2 catamarans. And there's Sarah on the top, like, climbs up to the very top of the catamaran. And she's jumping off this catamaran in Madeira. And she's like, she comes over. We both got emotional. She's like, I'm on a women's retreat on a trip by myself with women. I have no idea who they're at. I've never done anything like this before. She's like, I'm in a 2-piece bathing suit and I'm jumping off of a boat. Like, who am I, And she rode a bicycle with me. We did e-bike and she's like, I haven't been on a bike. And like, she was living life, tasting it, feeling it, experiencing it. And she was like feeling that, oh my God, I get to do this, because she made these tiny little shifts in her life to choose to eat healthier every day, to choose to move her body every day. And it wasn't a lot. She did 30 minutes with me every single day. She just showed up. And over time, it has completely transformed her life. She's now she's a nurse. She's launching a new health company. She's getting married. Like, her whole life is completely transformed. And I think what happens is we think it's so far away that we don't start because it just seems so far away. Well, guess what? In a year from now, it's going to come. You're going to be here in a year from now. And you're either going to regret not doing it or you're going to be proud that you did it. So you choose, right?
Time's going to pass anyways.
That's exactly it.
The most fulfilling thing in life is when you're working with somebody like that and you see the light come back into their eyes. Like, they have this sense of hope and excitement they may not have had for years. And they just have a zeal for living again. Like, when you can be a catalyst to make that a reality, like, that's when you're doing the line of work you're supposed to be in.
And that's what I live for. That's what I live for. I mean, those clients, those stories, that is exactly it. And she shares a story that I go into detail with in the book more, but we did a webinar with a lot of our members, and we brought her on to just kind of share her story, like what she did, how it worked, all this stuff. And somebody asked her, like, what do you do when like when you miss a workout or you don't eat healthy that day, or maybe it's a week? And she's like, I get back on the wagon. She's like, I don't set up camp. She's like, if I fall off the wagon, I'm not, setting up camp. We're not seeing Kumbaya and having s'mores. Like, I'm getting my ass right back on the wagon and I'm going. And so I love that lesson too, because I think we start things a lot and it doesn't go exactly as planned, or we have a moment of quote unquote failure. And we're like, oh, then forget it. I tried. It doesn't work for me. And we're just so quick to give up. And I think it's just about allow yourself a moment. You fall off the wagon, but don't set up camp. Just get right back on. Keep going. You got this,
That's key. It's funny you say this. I had one of my good friends, clients, one of the guys that coaches under me. He's in a prep right now. His competition's next weekend, and he had like the first like off playing unnecessary overconsumption day, and he was like beating himself up. But he's been in the space long enough to know you can't just set up camp there.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it on the podcast, just being totally brutally transparent with him. And he's like, man, it's like the analogy of you're driving on the road and you get a flat tire. You don't get out and slash the other three. Like,
exactly.
Exactly.
Yes.
So yeah,
I love that analogy. I love it. It's so true. Because when you put it in those terms, you're like, well, yeah, of course not. But yet we do that, right? We got to just slash all the tires and we're like, we're just going to stay right here. We're not going to move again. Yeah, that's a great one. I love that. So true.
Total tangent here, but you said you drink matcha in the morning. Why matcha instead of coffee?
I am such a matcha girl. Well, first of all, I love the taste of coffee. Like smell, the aroma. I love going to coffee shops. My body does not love caffeine. And it just doesn't. And coffee in general, even decaf goes. Not a good thing, my friend.
Caffeine in matcha, though, isn't there?
Not as much. No, not as much. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I started to just sip on matcha years ago. During COVID is when I really started. I think the company that I love, Peak Matcha, they sent me something. Like I got it in the mail. Like you get all these things in the mail. I'm like, oh, I'm going to try this. And at first I was like, okay, I like it. And then it has become my addiction. I cannot function without matcha. I love matcha so much. And there's something about making my matcha in the morning and this like routine for me. It feels, I know it sounds so ridiculously cheesy.
No, I'm all for more
routines.
But
there's something about it because it takes a little bit of focus and time to make it. And I just feels like I'm doing something for me and I enjoy it. So like it starts with the almond milk and then I have the matcha that I put into my special mug that I love. And then I take time with hot water poured into the matcha to mix my matcha properly. And then from there, I add a little cinnamon and then I add the milk and then I, again, blend it all together with a little cinnamon on top. And it just, it's not just like pouring the coffee and running. There's just something to it. And I truly go to bed at night and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for my matcha moment. I can't wait for my matcha moment in the morning.
No, I'm the same way with my coffee. I was making French press coffee for a little while.
I love French press coffee.
I went as far as to like get a hand grinder so that I could like have that as part of the whole, journey to the perfect cup of coffee. I feel like little things like that you got to appreciate. Like how you do anything in life is how you do everything. And if you want something done optimally, you have to put the focus and attention it deserves into it.
But didn't that cup of coffee taste differently to you when you spent 100%. A little more time? I mean, if we did a blind taste test, it's probably the same, right? Maybe we wouldn't know, but it was the intention behind making that cup of coffee for yourself. And it was feeling like you were taking just that extra little bit of time and effort to do something for you. It's like, totally. I tell the women I work with, I'm like, whether that's matcha or coffee or, a hot water and lemon, whatever it is in the morning or a morning stretch, which I highly recommend. It's just the intention of before you start your day and the chaos and, evolves and you've got all the things that you're trying to do throughout the day, just give yourself that morning moment, right? Give yourself that morning moment, whatever that is for you, to just say, I'm doing this for myself before I go into all the other roles that I wear, before I put on the mom hat, before I put on the spouse hat, before I put on whatever the coworker, the employee, the entrepreneur hat, whatever it is. Give yourself that moment. And the rest of your day, you will lead with stronger and more positive intention if you give yourself that morning moment.
Yeah, I think people just wake up in this reactionary state where they look on the news or scroll on social media, doom scrolling. It's like anything you do as a morning routine that's not that is a step in the right direction, probably.
Amen. That's the phone should be out of the room. Like put your phone in the other room when you wake up in the morning. And again, I go into this in detail in the book, but the power of breath and in the morning, it's just taking a few minutes to have intentional breath work. Oh, game changing.
So what all you got cooking right now? You got the book. When did that launch?
So that launches October 14th. So it's not out yet.
Okay. October 14th.
October 14th.
What else takes up the majority of your time?
I've got an Extend Barre. So Extend Barre just launched with Zumba. So we just created a Pilates program on Zumba. So if you go to Zumba app, you can find Extend Barre on the Zumba app there. And then I'm working on a new business venture, which is in the tween teen skincare world.
Nice. What is that? Or
So
what did they say?
yeah, I haven't actually publicly announced it yet, but it's coming. It's coming. Yeah, it developed out of a need. Both my business partner and I have young girls in this age range, and she happens to live and eat and breathe in the beauty and skincare and esthetician world. And we decided to come together and create something that we knew was really good for our children and their friends and their peers in this age group to help develop strong, healthy habits in the beauty and skincare sector.
Awesome. It's crazy how much nonsense is in so much of the mainstream anything, like the soaps, the shampoos, the makeups, the skincare. I mean, it is just crazy out there.
It's crazy, and it's far crazier. So like when I was my daughter's age, I mean, I was using like probably my mom's Mary Kay or whatever it was, Pond's, to remove my makeup. There were like 2 or 3 choices. Now this has become a hobby for kids. It's an addiction almost to just having more products and more things and the more colorful and the way this dispenses and the way it's like they know what they're doing when they're marketing to this age group and this demographic. And unfortunately, it's like ruining kids' skin. This is the demographic that they're so easily moldable and pliable. And sadly, I've seen it across the board. And so we're trying to create education that supports the product launch that is helping young ladies and young women to understand what they're putting on their skin has long-term effects and the power of building their skin barrier and building their microbiome through these products that we're launching. And so it's got to be about like less is more, and like the quality of the product is what really counts. And it's hard with this demographic. It's like, they just want all of it. Like a new flavor, a new launch, a new scent, a new this. It's like they just want more, 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 more. So trying to create products that are actually doing good in the world.
That's exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah.
And with the bar workouts with the Zumba, so you're like, that's like a course format, or it's all through the app, or how?
No, it's all through the app. So it's just part of their online digital program. So if you are a member with Zumba and you are interested in Pilates, you just go onto their app and you can search for Pilates, and our program is on there. So any member can access the workouts.
Nice.
And we're also on Beachbody as well. So we're on the Body platform as well. I have like 150 workouts on that platform.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Selfish question for you here. So as a bodybuilder, you've worked with bodybuilders, so this is relevant for you. And you're a dancer, so it's super relevant for you. If I'm wanting to take my posing to the next level, and I have no formal experience in choreographed dance routine, what should I do first? How should that progression look as it pertains to perfecting the sport of bodybuilding for me?
Yeah. So first thing is I would study, learn, and find another person in the industry that you want to emulate their technique and their form. Study it, learn it, understand it, practice it, perfect it, stand in front of a mirror again and again and again, and record yourself and videotape yourself again and again and again to understand how those little nuances in the movement, whether it's the turn of the neck, all the little teeny nuances are what add up. And so that's number one, because that's free, right? Without having to hire a coach or hire someone. Secondly, is I would enroll in some Pilates classes. And why do I say that? Because once you become a practitioner, like a real practitioner of Pilates, the development of mind-body awareness is outstanding. Okay. Outstanding what you will gain in terms of mind-body awareness and the ability to use your mind to properly activate the muscles during movement and non-movement will blow you away. And you will have such a stronger understanding of how to do that, both in a vertical position or whether you're working out, wherever you're at, right? Whether you're on a mat, whether you're in competition, whether you're posing or whether you're lifting, you will have a very strong body awareness without having to have the mirror in front of you. And that's what we're aiming for, is to be able to understand how to activate and how to turn it on when you're not in front of someone or someone's not exactly showing you. And it's all about that mind-body connection.
Awesome. Yeah, you definitely get me sold on Pilates.
I can't wait.
Do they do like hot Pilates too? Like hot yoga?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of hot Pilates. It would be great. I love
You mentioned earlier, like you got to be careful not to go into a studio where like you got some weekend warrior instructor. Like what are some telltale signs that you're in a good studio versus one you should probably not attend on a regular basis?
Yeah, so I would ask the manager what their education and certification program qualifications are at that studio. So for example, Can you tell me a little bit more about how your instructors are educated? Do you have an in-house certification program? Do you require them to have a, extensive, comprehensive certification program? Tell me a little bit more about the education. And then you can make a logical, common sense, understanding and guess of like, okay, this seems like it's reputable. There are some studios that truly, they're just like, you take a weekend course and they're teaching on a machine that is a very intense machine that people can easily get hurt on. So like before I was even able to teach a client or work on a body, I had a year underneath me, 1 year of like mirroring, shadowing, practicing. Like I wasn't able to have a class for 12 months, and it was very comprehensive. I was in like a, very comprehensive program. So I think that has fallen because the rise of Pilates has become so popular that people, my friends and I talk about it. There's women that are opening Pilates studios just for the business sense of it and have no understanding of it. And that's okay, as long as they're hiring instructors that do know what they're doing. And so you just want to make sure that the people that are teaching you know what they're doing. And I think the first thing you can look at is, are they a robot in the class? Are they just walking around the class going, okay, in 4 more reps, we're going to lift the bed in 3 reps. Okay, in 2 reps. They all sound the same. Like, or are they going, hey, Andrea, relax your right shoulder on that move. Hey, Sarah, make sure that left hip tilts up a little bit. Okay, everybody, make sure we're pushing through the heels to really fire off those glutes at the same time, wrapping those abs in and up, lengthen. If you're hearing those cues, if you're hearing real cueing, they've got it. If you're not hearing those cues, they're a robot that was taught in a weekend and move on to a classical studio.
Gotcha. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Is there like a specific Pilates move or exercise that's like, okay, you've mastered Pilates if you can dial that in?
No. No, there's so many. No. You could master one and then try the next one. And you're like, you're a complete, beginner newbie at it. It's just it does. And that's, I do love that about Pilates is the aim of mastery. There is that and same with Barre, it is that repetition. And I think sometimes we forget how powerful repetition is. Would you agree? Like totally. People are always like, what's the new workout? What's the new? I need something exciting. I need a whole new workout. Well, back in the day, we had one DVD that we did on repeat for years. And the reason we got stronger and better at it is because we repeated those movements and our mind-body coordination was improved. Our strength was improved because we kept doing it and we got better and better at it. When you're constantly looking for new, it's great in some sense, right? Because you're changing your body, you're changing your wares, but you got to be comfortable with repetition. You have to be comfortable with repeating moves and going, okay, how did I do this yesterday? How can I apply a different, goal on the same exact exercise that I've been doing for 2 months? How can I level up?
That is key. I've been doing the same workout split for over a year now, but there are so many variables independent of actually changing the movements, like time under tension, drop sets, supersets, negative reps, forced reps, all these things that people take for granted. It's
yes.
Change the workout, just change all these intensity factors.
Correct.
That you can manipulate to create more progressive overload.
I love it. Yes. We need to develop that. Cool. Let's focus on mastering things and not just doing something new every single day,
100%. Have you read the book Mastery by Robert Greene?
Yeah.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. It's somewhere over here. Yeah. It's a good one.
Nice. Well, I'm super stoked about your book. So this podcast will actually go live probably right at the same time the book goes.
Perfect. Love it.
That'd be perfect. And where do people go to get that?
So if they go to smallmovesbiglife.com. So, and that is also where you can access the workouts. So if you buy the book, you just shoot me over. It's all on my website. You shoot me over an email and within 24 hours, I will get you onto my website. You have access to all of my workouts for free. I've never done free workouts like this. It's always for purchase. So these are great, easy to do 10-minute long workouts. And I also incorporate stretches. So I've got a whole stretch series of videos as well to incorporate.
Awesome. Smallmovesbiglife.com. What about on social? Where you at on social?
Andrea Leigh Rogers. So Andrea, Leigh Rogers.
Perfect. Well, I will link out and make it super easy for people to find
you.
Love what you're doing. I feel like anything you can do to get people moving more is a win. So keep fighting the good fight for that, for sure.
I appreciate it. It was great to chat with you today.
Likewise. Appreciate you, Andrea.
Talk soon.